Hello, hello, and welcome back to Call Your Coven Practical Advice, Support. Who can say
Something?
for nonsensical times? My name is Bee. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the resident numerologist.
My name's Jeanna. My pronouns are also she, her, and I am the resident astrologer.
And my name is Meg. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm the resident tarot reader.
And it is December of 2025, the final month of this wild year.
Thank God. And also, what? How?
What are you talking about? I feel like that's been this entire year. Every time we press record, we're like, what month is it? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like, and the months just keep on coming. Has been like the theme of the year.
What is that?
If you ask
Yeah,
me.
let's get it started. Like that fucking millennial Black Eyed Peas, let's get it started. It's like, and then it's keep coming, coming. It's just like on repeat in my head lately. Yeah.
Truly. Well, I did look at December 2024, the forecast that we did last year, because I was so curious to see how things have shifted and what we were talking about. And in all caps, I had just written beautiful but tricky. And I was like, oh, little did I know.
Wow. You're a witch.
You're a witch. Foreshadowing.
Yeah. But I feel like that's not the vibe of this December, which feels kind of nice.
Thank goodness. It's
we deserve.
Fingers crossed, knock on wood. A little bit of a reprieve, at least astrologically speaking, before we get into next year. So I hope that holds.
Yeah. Well, speaking of next year, first, I know we all have some year ahead offerings that we're working on. I think for me, nothing is set in stone yet. It's still like kind of coming together, but I will have a few offerings. So the best way to keep in touch with me is through my Substack, Swimming in the Soup. And I'm going to do a 2026 version of my planner Daily Digits. That was a big hit last year, which was really fun and unexpected. And it does have a cool new look. I've been having a lot of fun collaging on Canva. So that will come out. And then I'm also going to do a workshop in early January, probably like right in the first few days of January, to chart your numerological year. So I had a lot of requests in my feedback form from 2025 to host something where people were able to actually chart their whole year and start to think about planning numerologically. So I'm going to do that, like I said, in the first couple of days in January, but stay tuned for the official announcements.
Yeah. So by December 1st, my Beginner 101 class, So You Want to Learn Astrology, will be available for immediate download on my website. It ran live in November, but now it's going to be available for you just to either binge in one afternoon or take your sweet time through. It's basically 4.5 to 2 hour long lectures with live Q&A from participants that cover the basics of what astrology is and what we use it for and its history, and also goes in depth on the planets and signs and houses of a birth chart and how you put those things together and what the fuck they mean. And it's $99. So honestly, I think that's kind of a steal for that comprehensive of a beginner class. And then if you are like, cool, awesome that you have a class, but I want to work with you one-on-one, I am currently accepting applications for new mentees in 2026. Application makes it sound fancier than it is. It's just a short Google form. But basically you just fill out like what you're interested in, the kinds of things you do, and we see if it's a good match, really. But I am expanding in the new year to not just offer astrology mentorship, but also to offer more officially astro witchcraft blended mentorships, which some of my mentees went in that direction this year anyway, and it was kind of that proving that I could do it and that it was actually the best possible thing for me to be doing before my brain caught up to the fact that that's what things have turned into. So anyway, if mentorship is something you're looking to really like invest in the coming year, hit me up.
Hell yeah. I also have things that are still taking shape. We're recording this on November 21st, and I haven't finished completely finalizing all of this. But the things I am positive will be available are that just like last year, I'm doing a series of 5 days of essays that I call 5 days of offerings. They're free to everyone to read. They're packed with tarot spreads and exercises and insights, and they're really topical. They're really just about how to be a person in the world with the help of tarot right now. But each essay also includes a discounted offer on something that I'm working on. Sometimes I offer discounts on things that have already been out there and just really discount them for you. And other times I'm introducing new things. So you can check that out. You're going to be able to get all those readings and spreads, whether you buy anything or not. The essays are really designed to be a gift in and of themselves. But I'm also opening up my year ahead readings for 2026 with a new tarot spread based on the Wheel of Fortune. I almost said the Wheel of the Year. That's not what it is. The Wheel of Fortune, because that's our card of the year. And then I am also opening up my January journaling series. I've done this for the last few years, done this big annual journaling series to kind of help you explore and have a gentle pathway into the new year using both tarot and numerology, as well as just, thinking about what you want your year to hold. It's very much not goal oriented and very much more, how are you feeling right now and what could you use this year? What would be helpful to think about? What kind of archetypes do you want to work with? And that sort of thing. I do also always have a couple of different things happening, like the conservatory, as well as I am also open for mentorship. So you can find all of that at 3amtarot.com and check out the essay series. I am likely going to be also running a new email series, like a new email class in the month of December, but I haven't written it yet. So check the newsletter to find out what I've done since November 21st when we're recording this.
Love it. Yes, that's very much my vibe as well. It's like things will be coming. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
And my vibe as the resident Capricorn is I will roll something out when it is ready to go.
Yes. Yeah. But your vibe as the resident Capricorn is I already did this thing and now it's available for purchase.
Yeah.
Also that. See, we have, it's like end of year. We embrace chaos magic. We embrace structured magic. We embrace all of it. It's all in the tea, as B would say.
Well, and it also does very much match at least the numerological energy for December, because I feel like, especially at the end of this collective 9 year, 12 is one of the numbers that denotes a full cycle anyway. We know the 12 months of the year, the signs of the zodiac. But especially in this case, that we're at the end of this 9 year collective cycle, the first thing that came through when I was thinking about December is I really do think we're in this until it's over. So that's kind of beautiful to me, especially thinking about moving into a 10 or a 1 collective year, depending on how you're looking at it. That's like, yeah, we can really just see this year out to the finish line. And then we can start next year when next year starts, is kind of the vibe. And so obviously for those of us who love to plan ahead, go forth, start planning. You have the information, it's out there. You can definitely start doing that. But for those of us like me personally, who just kind of need to see this out and in a gentler, more kind of spacious way, it does feel like a nice permission slip to just let 2026 be coming down the pipeline, like when it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I did write, like, if you're dragging your carcass over the finish line.
Listen, we're tired, all right?
We are tired.
It's true. It's
this
true.
year was a
And
decade.
Yes, this year was a decade. And this year, I've lived 1,000 lifetimes in this year, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I mean, all of us have. And so I really do know what it feels like to be there. And so if that is how you're meeting the end of this harrowing year, I'm sending love and stamina and protection and comfort. But I do think that the end of this year could shape up to be a really good opportunity just to fill up our cups a little bit before a fresh cycle begins. So, of course, listen to our episode on rest that we just put out if you are struggling in the soup. my new newsletters. We're not swimming, we're struggling now. No,
Sinking
but
in the soup.
I know. The other day, I was talking to my mom, who is a devout listener of this podcast. So, hi, Mom. And we were saying that the word that feels right to describe our state of being right now is deflated. And of course, there is the big bad version of this, meaning feeling deflated, dejected, like the wind has been knocked out of our sails, like we're wandering a little aimlessly until things pick up. So that could definitely be more of the vibe of December. But as we were talking, I really started to notice that I was having another feeling around the verb deflating and noticing how at the end of this year, I actually am looking forward to the opportunity to deflate, like to have a quiet little holiday season at home, to decorate our house, to watch bad lesbian Christmas movies, to read some books, to take some naps, and really finally just release some of this high alert hypervigilance that has been living in my body for so long and just like deflate a little. So I hope that hits for other folks listening. I have questions. I came to the table today with questions. So my questions around this idea of like rest and deflating for December is, how can you give up and give back? How might you engage with joy and ease this month? How does exploring two or more sides of every coin expand your options? So, like noticing, just like I did with the word deflate, like how there are different sides to that feeling and that action. And then how are your energy levels inviting you into self-care and also self-expression? And the self-expression piece is, I haven't said this out loud, but obviously we're working with 12 in December, but we're also working with the number 3, the root number of 12. And so something I've been considering a lot lately with the number 3 is like the stories we tell ourselves and the narratives that we have. And particularly what came through at the end of 2025 is, what are the stories we're telling ourselves around time? So I'm so busy. I barely have enough time to blank, let alone blank. Oh, maybe I could squeeze in 10 minutes for pleasure on Tuesday, the 18th. Like, whatever it sounds like to you, what are the stories that you're telling yourself about your time? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you platitudes or falsehoods about time, but what I am going to ask you is to expand your sense of time this month and consider what actually might shift for you if you adopted a belief or an intention of, I have enough time for that. So the questions are, what if you did have enough time? What else could you do with the energy you spend worrying about time? What new stories about time do you want to create? And what new possibilities might go hand in hand with these new stories, especially moving into a 1 year where there's so much new available on the horizon? I think, yeah, what if deflating was a good thing? And what if you had enough time are my 2 questions moving into this month.
And I think that is so wildly consistent with the astrology, especially the fact that you posed questions around belief and reframing belief as we begin the month in Sagittarius season. And Sag season is just very, I love Sag season. It's very much the like Jupiter ruled party loving philosopher of the zodiac, not party loving in like, you know, maybe a toxic Hollywood way that we might think about, but like rejoicing at being with beloveds, rejoicing at togetherness, like you're saying, be like finding opportunity to invest in relationship and kind of gather around the hearth with people who fill your cup. Like That's what I mean. Like the more is more, like more people, the more the merrier. Like that's just such a core piece of Sag season. But also Sag season is like, okay, we're all sitting around the bonfire together, we're sitting around the hearth together, and we are asking big questions. And we are asking questions around purpose, our purpose in how it works in this present state in the world. And I don't know, this always feels like such a fitting season to be in at year's end when we are looking back on the year and reflecting on what we've done, what we've learned, what we've felt. I think that's my encouragement for Sag season for folks, is to less prioritize, well, what did I do? What did I accomplish? Like decapitalize it, anti-capitalist it. And, think about it really holistically in the way that B was suggesting too. Like, what did I learn? What did I feel? What did I change? Where were there opportunities that I created something where there was nothing? Like, what people came into my life? Like just a more holistic reflection. Because there's an expansiveness and a generosity to Sag season. Like, if we can get out of our own way and if we can get out of the way of our own expectations enough to appreciate it. And that's very much a self call in as much as a listener call in. The first lunation, it's a pretty chill month, honestly. It's really just like the moons, and that's kind of it. Thank God, honestly. Thank fuck. But the first lunation of the month arrives on December 4th. We have a full moon in Gemini at 13 degrees. So this is a moon of completion and contemplation and pivoting and appreciating what decisions have led us to where we are, specifically when it comes to like literal conversation, relationship, discourse, education, the life of the mind. Like Gemini is so much about that curiosity and where our curiosity takes us. Again, whether that's like romantically or intellectually. Did you, like me, go back to school? Did you, like me, dive into researching the fucking 1380s for your historical novel? Like, really think about where your curiosity has brought you over the last 6 months. And I say that because the themes and conversations coming up around this moon are likely to connect to things that came up for you at the end of May earlier this year around the new moon in Gemini. So if you kind of move back to thinking about, all right, or looking at your calendar or your journal and being like, what was going on? What was I doing? We might expect some of those people, conversations, themes, opportunities to come back around. And then the next lunation is December 19th. We have a new moon at the tail end of Sagittarius season. It's at 28 degrees. So this is coming. I love a new moon right before the winter solstice, TBH. Because it creates such a juicy period, as B would say, for initiations, for ritualized spell work, for new beginnings. Not necessarily for launching something, right? It's like we're taking the astrology with the context that this is in the back half of December and most of the country is shut down at this point. Like we're wanting to wrap things up. People are out of office. It's holiday season, even if you don't celebrate. So I'm not necessarily saying like launch something, but take this moment to really internally like begin something around what you believe now and what you want to be believing in the coming year. And you can really, like I said, it dovetails so well with the fact that the winter solstice arrives on December 21st, the winter solstice being Capricorn season. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, this is the longest night and shortest day of the year, after which we start gaining light again. Like on the one hand, this is the first season, the first official zodiacal season of winter, but we're gaining light. Like it's not the dying time anymore. Things are dead and they're going to start to come back. If we're thinking about the nature metaphors there. And like, Listen, this is my favorite time of year because maybe it's because like the winter solstice is my solar return. The specific day of the year can move around, but like I was born on the winter solstice. And so I have a real affinity for this time of year. It's so quiet and tucked away and just ideal for being with my beloveds, celebrating the year I've had, planning the year that is coming. My favorite thing to do on the winter solstice is that Meg and I have done for a few years now is we just watch like eat sweet treats and watch fairy tale movies. And that's like my own personal way of kind of celebrating and bringing in the new year, as it were. Capricorn season gets a lot of capitalist bullshit put on it and a lot of like, now it's time to work and that kind of thing. I want to kind of reframe that for people that it's not necessarily about working hard or starting something huge, like, or what have you, but rather that Capricorn is a sign and a season, especially here at the end of the year, that is very, very concerned with legacy and with the long term and looking ahead for the long term. And that doesn't have to be career planning, right? That can have to do with health of all kinds. It can have to do with your relationships, with your relationship to creativity, with your spiritual practice. Just like really like in a it's so funny to me that B said time, how like all these questions about time so much, because time is a primary concern of Saturn, which is the planet that rules Cap season. So, and then Aquarius after it in the new year. So this is just a really beautiful time to turn your reflections toward that which you want and start to strategize, basic early steps for how you might implement those things or move toward it in 2026. And stay tuned also on that note, because mid-December, I will be dropping a brand new workbook that is very helpful for planning creatively in the new year. But yeah, if planning is something that feels good for you, if you like me feel safe by like planning is how we cultivate feelings of safety and reflection, then I would definitely encourage you to take some quiet time with a cup of tea or coffee or a hot toddy or what have you on the winter solstice and just tuck yourself away in a corner and let yourself dream big.
I'm going to bring a very different energy. Because I pulled a very different energy card for our theme of the month. But if you're new here or you just forgotten, just a reminder, these are not predictive. This is much more kind of a suggestion or a vibe, something to think about. These can be cards that you choose to work with. These can be cards that you choose to study, or these can just be cards that you decide to kind of embody and keep in mind throughout the month. So our theme card, which is just sort of a general energy to keep in mind all month long, something to tap into, something to explore, something to be excited about. I pulled the Page of Wands, which is less quiet, contemplative, and more let's burn something down and see what happens. I like to think of pages as interns. It's kind of my favorite way of thinking about them. They're not people that don't know anything. They're not babies. They're not brand new, but they are discovering, kind of stepping into a new journey that utilizes some skills that they already have. And I really like that their approach in general is like, okay, I don't really care how you've been doing this. I want to try and do my own thing. And I'm going to kind of make my own rules as I go and worry less about how things are supposed to be and think more about how I want to do them and what feels right for me. And I think the Page of Wands in particular, of fire, of passion, of the things that stir the soul, is excitement and boldness and courage and rebellion. This is a hellion. This is like a little monster of an intern that kind of comes in and breaks things and really wants to jump off the highest cliff or light things on fire or mix random chemicals together. Or, what if I made a zine out of this printing press when no one's here? Like, it's very much like, what can I do with what I find? And what if I'm not worried about the repercussions of this, right? The Page of Wands always wants to see what happens. That's my phrase for the Page of Wands, see what happens, and doesn't really have a category for failure, which I think, even if it feels like a really different high energy kind of blaze of glory energy in contrast to these other themes of like time and slowing down and deflation, I do think there is something to the energy of discovery and the willingness to see what happens regardless of what shape that takes. Maybe you're not ready for a new journey of fire. Maybe that sounds exhausting. Maybe like me, you'd like to just lay in bed for like a year and see what happens. But I think that the Page of Wands really invites a lot of space to try something different, and also can really encourage us in general to stop caring so much about rules or traditions or the expectations of other people, and instead to really lean in and be true to what we want and what we want to try. More is more, again. So as a theme for the month, I think there is a big do what you want energy, which can be loud or can be quiet, depending on who you are and what you literally want. It's been a wildly chaotic and deeply destabilizing year, and we're on the cusp of a new one. And so I think that the Page of Wands ultimately is bringing a sense of possibility to anything that we touch. What would you try if you weren't afraid to fail? What journey would you start if you weren't concerned about following the rules along the way? And how can you bring a very playful, irreverent, fuck it, we ball energy to whatever you're working towards this month? That really feels like Page of Wands energy to me. I also pull Truth and Dare cards. Truth is kind of an internal challenge. Dare is an external risk or something to try, something to check out. And for our Truth card, I pulled the 10 of Cups, which I honestly think is so sweet and lovely, and such a like a nice reciprocal energy to be utilizing in December. This is kind of an internal reflection or something to investigate anyway. And with the 10 of Cups, I'm really thinking about how this time of year, we often see a lot of calls for reflection and gratitude. And in a year this difficult, right? In a year that has objectively sucked in a lot of ways for a lot of us, even if you've had personal victories, collectively, it's been pretty brutal. Those suggestions might feel really trite, right? It might feel like, just do a gratitude practice. And you're like, fuck off. I don't want to. That just sounds fake, you know? Like, it just might not feel like something you really want to do right now. And I'm not here to tell you that you have to do it. I think forcing yourself to do a gratitude practice can sometimes be helpful for folks, and sometimes it's the opposite of helpful. It can just piss you off. But we do have things to celebrate. Truly and actually. Yeah. Listen, sometimes it's the last thing you want to do. Like, it just is.
I'm so grateful to be here.
Like, exactly. Like, I'm so fucking mad. But we have survived this year. We have. Maybe by the skin of our teeth, maybe in a really brutal way, maybe navigating impossible obstacles or really scary circumstances, or just as many difficult things as you can think of simultaneously. We have still survived. We've figured things out. We've discovered new things. We have loved. We have created. We have been awestruck by joy. We have felt our feelings. We have done all the things, right? And so even if you don't want to do a gratitude practice, and again, that's fine. I'm not going to do one. I do think that there is something to the 10 of Cups about the filling of cups of others and the allowing our cups to be filled by other people. The reciprocal nature of sharing magic and sharing our feelings, no matter what they are. They might be pain, they might be grief, they might be anger, they might be loneliness, whatever the feelings are. They don't have to be positive, but you can still share those feelings too. You can still let your cup be filled, and you can still fill the cups of others regardless of what you have and regardless of what you've been through. You were still allowed to fill your cup, and you also you probably still have something to give, even if you don't realize it. Sometimes your presence alone can fill the cup of another person. So, as your truth, as something to think about, something to look inward about this month, what would it look like to really allow the magic of the everyday to fill you up? What would it feel like to look at those you love with genuine delight instead of just taking them for granted? And what would it mean to recognize how we, you, me, all of us are part of a larger web of care, and to celebrate the true power and magic in both giving and receiving? Finally, we have a dare, which is when I dare you to do something potentially stupid, but mostly I try to encourage you to take a risk, make a big swing, or just challenge yourself to do something a little bit out of the ordinary. And for our dare, I pulled the 9 of Wands, which does feel like big Sagittarius energy to me, honestly.
How many nines this year in our
I know,
cards?
nines and tens, like, it's wild. So the 9 of Wands is kind of coming at the end of the cycle of fire. And I think that this card can look a lot of ways depending on where you are, and likely you already know where you are when I talk about this card. There's plenty of others, but I want to focus on kind of two main interpretations of the 9 of Wands for our dare. Sometimes this card is a warning that we are hovering right on the edge of burnout, that we have been trying to do too many things at once for too long. And then if we don't slow down or find a way to rest or take a few things off our plate or ask for help for once in our fucking life, this is me calling myself out here, we're going to crash really hard. Right. But other times the Nine of Wands is urging us to finish strong. It is a card of perseverance. It is a card of crossing the finish line. It is a card of staying the course and staying focused and letting our love for the thing that we're doing carry us to where we want to be. And so I think honestly, this card is on us to honestly assess where we are. But I will say that, like Bea is saying, if you're dragging your carcass across the finish line, you probably didn't need the Nine of Wands to tell you that, right? You don't need me to interpret that for you. You know that that's where you are. So this month, regardless of which camp you find yourself in, I dare you to honor your capacity and your limits. I dare you to ask for help when you need it. I dare you to see the power in restraint and intentionality and moving at the speed you can move. I dare you to recognize your own boundaries. And I dare you to show yourself compassion when needed instead of pretending you don't deserve it. And yes, I did hurt my own feelings with that line. Thank you for asking. So yeah, I thought the cards were kind of sweet, honestly. But
honestly, Page of Wands is so Sag to me. Nine of Wands is more Capricorn. Like what you were talking about with perseverance, like it's the long game, like eye on the prize, like that is so Cap to me. But when you were like, fuck it, we ball, let's see what happens, I'm like, yeah, Page of Wands is big Sag energy, which I love, which is great. Like,
yeah, I also love the Page of Wands for this month. And I think 3 is like a very messy, kind of creative, vital energy. And so that aligns with Sag as well. But you said something, Meg, about the Page of Wands and worry. And what if you didn't worry about consequences or rules or any of these kinds of things? And that I used worry in one of my questions. Like, what if you're not worried about time? What if you're not worried? What would you do with that energy that is available to you now that you've taken that off the table? And so I think the Page of Wands is the perfect card for December because it really does encapsulate some of the year end, let's get there and not worry so much about it energy that could also in turn help us to rest and restore.
I'm going to end up talking about play more with the cauldrons, but I do think there's such a playful energy to all of the pages, but especially the Page of Wands. They're just like, let's just see what happens. Let's just like mess around and like see what we can make, like throwing ingredients together and like seeing what recipe bubbles up. You know, it's very like, I'm not afraid to try. I'm not worried about what might happen. I'm excited for the process. And I think that's, I don't know, it's making me think about the week, that liminal week between Christmas and New Year's, where it feels like anything could happen and nothing can happen. And that's also fine. Like, it just feels like a very squishy, transient space at the end of the year. And I think that can be any of these cards, honestly. But
yeah, I also think in the sharing of your solstice fairy tale movie marathon, there's something about this time of year that really does return you to a childlike state if you are available to that. Like, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, just the kind of like joy and excitement and fervor around that experience feels very much like if you have been looking to get back to a play, if you've been looking to get back to a place of play or joy or inner child, opportunity, possibility, I don't know, but it feels like this month could be good for that.
Yeah, and I want to say too, like, for many years this time of year, even though it is my birthday, so I love that, Christmas, like, you know, I'm estranged from my family. I left the church, you know, years and years ago now. And for many years, this time of year was very hard also on the whole. And it did not feel joyful and it did not feel restful. And it just felt like it was a lot of painful memories and being reminded of things I'd lost. or just like hadn't been born to have in this life or what have you. And it really has only been, I don't know, like the last 5 years or so that I've let myself like celebrate Yule and start putting up a Christmas tree again. Because, and I call it a Christmas tree, but it's like, it's just a tree with my Barbie ornaments on it. And it's pink and it makes me happy. Like, so I don't know. I think there's something to like around, I think the 10 of Cups especially is so supportive, especially for how fraught the holidays are for so many people, like regardless of what the particular shape of that fraughtness is, if it has to do with religious trauma or family difficulty or just like the grief around having lost loved ones this year, like what have you, you know, whatever shape it is uniquely for you, like the 10 of Cups just feels also like such sweet medicine in that way. Like, yeah. Should we cauldron?
Whoa. Should we cauldron? Should this
Yeah,
be the shortest episode of Call Your Coven?
is it really short? Yeah, I guess it is.
Honestly, I am there's something to I like what y'all were saying with like being present in the end of the year, letting the end of year be what it is. And God, we're all so tired.
I know.
So,
I know.
Tired.
you know, and also I think it's very indicative that this month is just not as astrologically busy as previous months have been, like this end of the year. I know I said it in the November forecast, but like Q4 really mirrors Q1 in the astrology. And like enjoy it. Enjoy that, you know,
Yeah.
like take the call.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool.
Cool.
Well, for money in December, 3 can be, like I said, a little messy, but I think also generative and creative. And last month for money in November, we talked about getting some help, seeing a bird's eye view of the financial life, like really taking the opportunity to work with softer numbers of 11 and 2 to like get a clear picture. And now 3 is going to help us plan the next steps. So what came through was that even though it's getting harder and harder to actually speak to a human on the phone these days, when you have to like reach out to companies or government agencies or whatever, this month really does want you to rely on expression and humanity in order to get these next steps going, get through some kind of financial hardship, even if things are going great and you just want to be taking a new investment opportunity or something like that. Talk to people was kind of the vibe. Like, see if you can get on a human level, because if we're going to change the system, then we have to get better at speaking to each other, at saying the financial position we're in, saying what kind of support that we need in getting to where we want to go. So keep going, keep talking to people, and the end, period.
I love that. Astrologically, I've got one day just to like be mindful of, and it is December 6th. Mercury is direct in December, thank God. Like Mercury retrograde is over, but Mercury is retracing their steps in Scorpio. And so on the 6th, Mercury is going to make a very easy trine to Jupiter. That often looks like easy spending that's also emotional spending, especially since we're dealing with Mercury and Jupiter being in water signs. So just like, you know, we love a generosity of spirit, we love gift giving, and also be mindful of your budget. You know, let's the feelings and the reality don't always match up when this kind of thing shows up. So anyway, just being mindful. Yeah.
Yeah, the card that I pulled for us is the Four of Cups, which actually feels kind of similar to what you're saying, Jeanna. When I pulled this card, the kind of phrase that came to mind is sometimes we don't need to spend money to get or give what we need. And again, that's not to say that we need to go without the necessities or give up pleasures or essentials or anything like that. But it is to say that there can be something really satisfying in being self-contained and being satisfied with what we have. I'm thinking about how this is really a time of year where sales and discounts and pressure to spend is really high, and we're getting extra trolled by corporations and like that Sephora ad with Mariah Carey, like, Jesus Christ, like the corporations and the billionaires know that we are trying to boycott and spend less. I'm seeing so many calls for low buys and no buys and boycott days, and also just like even more people than usual talking about handmade holiday gifts or supporting small businesses or just not spending so much this year. And honestly, I think that's great. Like, I don't think this has to be a time for capitalism. I don't think this has to be a time where we all spend as much money as possible. I think that there are a lot of ways to show up, to show care, to show love. And those things can really come from within us instead of feeling like we have to spend a lot of money. And so this card came up, and my main advice for finances is not to just spend to spend, but instead to pay attention to what really feels satisfying and delicious and heart-filling, like on an internal level. Just because something doesn't cost a lot of money, it doesn't make it not precious. And I think that's what bubbled up.
I love that. I love that for 3 too, because 3 is creative. So it's like, make something.
Make some things, or
Make
show
something.
up, like do something together, play together. Like there's just so many other ways that it can look.
Yeah. It also makes me think that people have such different desires around what is meaningful. So some people don't like gifts at all. They like experiences.
Yeah.
That's
Then this is making me think, like, if I go over and clean someone's kitchen or go take brownies over or like whatever it is, what are the actual efforts that we could make that would take the place of like a physical gift?
Yeah.
I will say, like, my sister and I agreed to not do gifts this year. And my sister is historically like one of the only people I ever do gifts with. Meg and I don't really do gifts. But we also had, we have some beloved friends in our life who are gift people and who have already started texting about like, we're going in on this for this person. And I think it's also very like Mercury and Scorpio, be fucking real. Like, be honest. It's not necessarily boundaries, but it is like, speak your truth. And I just like sent some very honest responses like, I love you guys so much. We're not doing gifts this year. Like, I can't afford to buy gifts for every person in my life on a very blunt level. And like, but it was surprisingly well received. And that was joy. So also just like a difficult conversation around gifts or money or holiday spending for a family or what have you. Like, you might be surprised by how it goes. And that actually is also a really low-key, very good use of that Mercury Jupiter day. Like, talk about it rather than, taking out the credit card.
Yeah. Well, and that was the whole advice for numerology, just not through that lens. Like, I was thinking, like, who can you talk to outside of your sphere, if you need help? But like, we've also had those conversations with friends and family of like, hey, we're doing no gifts or we're doing just gifts for the kids or like, so I think not being afraid to have those 3 coded conversations with like, just keep talking to people and we have to be really honest about where we are and what we need.
Yeah. That also feels like it ties back to the 10 of Cups too, in general. It's like, what actually makes you feel loved? And do you feel comfortable expressing that to the people in your life who might want to make you feel loved right now? Like, you could let them just do whatever they might want to receive or whatever they think you might like, or you could just love them enough to tell them, like, and let them love you in a way that you can receive it. And we can do that for each other. I don't know. It just feels so much more real than like, I went to the store and I spent my last pennies on something that you might like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. For home, the Holy Trinity came to mind, which was always a jump scare.
Gotta go.
I know. I have no idea. I mean, obviously 3, but like, why? So when I sat with it, I really thought there was something to consider in December around the hierarchy of your home or like roles that you play in the home. So this could be literal, like how you split up household chores or labor. This could be emotional, like who are the more natural givers of care? Maybe who do you turn to for the best advice? Who's the one that's going to plan the family or friend game night? I'm not totally sure, honestly, how this information will turn practical, although I'm excited now to hear from Jeanna and Meg because I feel like my gibberish made much more sense after listening to them. So maybe this will happen again. But I do kind of get the vibe that if we are looking at these things, it will become more clear as the month goes on. So maybe the initial advice is like take a lay of the land around your home and the people in it and who does what and how has that changed in the duration of the year.
Again, the month is pretty just the basics astrologically. So for home, I'm just looking at 2 rising signs who have the lunations, which is to say the full and new moon, landing in the part of their birth chart that has to do with home, family, and all of those associated things. So first off, Pisces risings, that Gemini full moon on December 4th is going to really light up this area of life for you. And again, to the point of looking what was going on for you, home, family, parents, grandparents, roots, ancestry, heritage, ancestry.com tests, like, all of that stuff, like what was going on around May 26th, something might be coming back around for revisiting, completion, finalizing a bill for like the thing you invested in your home, something along those lines. And then for Virgo risings, you have the Sagittarius new moon in your 4th house on December 19th. And what really came through, especially with it being a Sagittarius new moon, is like the start of new traditions, making New Year's resolutions that connect to things you want to change or initiate around home or family if you are a New Year's person in any capacity. It also might look like beginning ancestor work or like being the person who picks up the torch of a thing that your family has historically done that, like, for whatever reason has perhaps fallen by the wayside or been passed on to you. So just a really lovely time to, again, think about the ways that like new moon and new beginnings, it doesn't have to be something huge. It can literally just be, I'm putting up a picture of my grandmother in my kitchen, and I'm going to say hi to her more often when I'm in there.
Well, the tarot is loud. I pulled the Hierophant, which is like the card of tradition. So I do think these are all really coming together in a lovely way. The Hierophant really can mean a lot of things, but I like to think about it in this context as honoring what has come before and also about paying attention to what feels sacred right now. So as we've already discussed, I think this is like making our own traditions for the holidays, making our own traditions around the home, thinking about who has traditionally done things in the past, like Bea was saying, around like tasks or like your job in the household or whatever. But I think that there is something about the Hierophant that's really about respecting what we actually want to do versus what we feel obligated to do because we've always done it, right? I cannot say this loud enough. If you hate going home for the holidays, if you hate spending the holidays or the holiday season with a group of people that you don't normally like or really talk to that much, what if you didn't? I love you so much. What if you didn't, right?
Yo.
If you miss having a Christmas tree, I literally wrote this before he said this, Jeanna, but like, if you miss having a Christmas tree, what if you tried putting one up this year? What if you just got a little guy? What if you just put some ribbon on it, right? It doesn't have to be a big deal. If you love hosting a big meal, but you don't want it to be on Christmas or on Yule or on Hanukkah or whatever it is, don't. What if you made your own holiday? What if you just had a big dinner with people you love at some point in the month when it actually works for everyone that you want to be there, right? This month, let your home and your traditions be yours and claim them and see how it feels to honor your needs instead of just going on autopilot. Some tough love about the Hierophant.
Speaking of love, 'tis the season to talk.
Look at that segue.
Look at that.
Look at that segue.
Look at it. I wrote all about communication. So I love that this goes back to Meg's ideas for gifts around, like, just tell someone you love them. Call someone on the phone, send that text, write that card or letter, schedule that FaceTime date. December and the number 3 really are all about connections and relationships. And with our collective 9-year involvement, this could also be reconnecting with those you've lost touch with, not in a Mercury retrograde X resurfacing way, but like in a genuine, let's finally reschedule that hang we've been pushing off. Maybe you want to update your dating profile with new language and new pictures that are more resonant with who you are and where you are now. And this also has big love declaration vibes, which is also kind of a holiday thing as well. So if you are considering a confession or a grand gesture this month, I think you go forth and you love hard. Why not?
However, there are 2 days. No, I love that. But I'm just gonna give you 2 days that maybe you don't do that. So on the winter solstice, December 21st, again, like my favorite day of the year, it also has a Venus Saturn square happening, Venus and Sag square Saturn and Pisces. So this year that looks like big reality check energy. It could look like plans getting canceled. It also, the major thing that comes through, given the topic of this podcast is like occultism and witchcraft, is you can only be like Venus Saturn square is big. You are just responsible for you. You cannot be responsible for how someone else responds. You cannot be responsible for what someone else's desire is. And also, like we've been saying, being communicative around what your expectations and what your wants are. Because what came through specifically is like, there's someone who you love dearly. It could be like whether it's a partner or a friend or one of your kids, like who doesn't want to do solstice Yule stuff with you. That's okay. Like, again, you can only be responsible for you. Like, trying to not take on the disappointment of other people not caring in exactly the way you care is the biggest, like, conscientious thing I can say about Venus Saturn square days. And then the next one is a little bit easier to address because it's a Venus Neptune square on December 24th, so Christmas Eve day. So you may be with family or loved ones or hosting or what have you. And this is just really big love bomby energy. So on the one hand, that could be nice. Like if you're, again, like folks are saying, if for whatever reason you do have to celebrate the holiday with some difficult people where relationships may be strained or tense, this actually can be really helpful for like diffusing those scenarios, and maybe folks just get a little tipsy and it's fine. You go out for a walk with your cousins, you all get high, like, and that's a great way to use the day. Less helpful is like getting caught up in the illusion again of like what I hoped this would look like, what I hoped this holiday would be, what I hoped would happen, and then the crash of, again, the reality check. So just, we're being communicative and we are being so real that about what we is and is not under our control when it comes to love and relationships.
Okay. Yeah, that's so much. And I literally pulled the Four of Swords, which I think connects to what both of you are saying. Like this idea of like being clear and focused and real in your communication, and also like being clear and focused about what you want and what you're going to do and not do. Like Four of Swords, I think first gets associated with rest a lot, but I also thought about like, who can you zone out with? Because we're in this love thing, right? Like, and so I think that's a kind of a decent benchmark in general for good relationships, romantic or otherwise. Who can you rest with? Who can you like take off your makeup with, metaphorically or literally? Like, who can you actually be truthful with? Who can you be real with? Who can you rest with? There's so much here about mental boundaries, around discernment and paying attention to what is real, whether it's something that you are saying or whether it's something that is being said to you. And also, again, not getting lost in fantasy, it feels weird to say having boundaries around your imagination, but like not getting caught up in what could be and missing out on what's literally right in front of you, right? These are all things that connect to stuff that Jeanna and Bee have said, so I'm going to keep this short, but I will just say, pay attention to who you can be real with this month, whatever that means for you in romantic relationships and platonic relationships and familial relationships. Who lets you be honest? Who lets you be messy? Who lets you be blunt? And who also lets you be realistic? if that makes sense. And more broadly, how can you maintain the boundaries that you need in order to protect yourself from conflict that maybe isn't super useful? Yeah.
Yeah, very much like take a nap instead of send the text energy.
Yeah. Like if you know you want to do this big declaration, by all means, but make sure it's real. And make sure that the timing is the right moment and the people that are going to be around are people that you want to be around, you know?
Okay. Last but certainly not least, health for the month of December. 3, again, we've been talking a lot about communication, a lot of expression. I also see 3 as collaboration. So your health might call for some integration this month. So this might not happen very quickly. Obviously, there's a lot of time off in December, culturally speaking. Offices might be closed. But I really do see this like collaboration between providers, maybe specialists talking with primary care physicians, therapists consulting with psychiatrists. And the vibe is actually more cooks in the kitchen because that is what's going to provide exacting and individualized care for you right now. So again, really bringing us back to the present moment of like who and what can help you right now. And also, I want to note that, like the idea of time that I brought up earlier, we also have a lot of cultural stories that we like to tell ourselves around this time of year about food consumption and diet and bodies, and especially with holiday food and New Year's gym resolutions. You know, I would like to just invite you this year to first and foremost take care of yourself, but also to examine your own narratives and your own beliefs around that. Like, where are you still holding on to diet culture that just really doesn't serve you? And then please, at least for me, have another piece of pie. Just
As always, I'm just here with the timing stuff. When to do shit, when to not do shit. I am the meteorologist.
It's useful. It's so useful.
But on December 8th is a day that I would encourage you to rest as much as is possible. It is a Mars square Saturn day. So that's not necessarily like bad things happening, but it is very unstoppable force meets a movable object. So if you're trying to like rally or schedule a heavy day that requires a lot of push and a lot of like activation mode, that might be a little less available both to you and everyone around you. So in as much as you can cancel plans that day, don't go out, chill, and just maybe stay in and eat pie. Like that's a great use of December 8th. Yeah, just be mindful of pushing too much. Also, Mars Saturn square, like I don't like to get so much into like the significations specifically medically, but like that looks like overuse. It looks like strain injuries, like not like something suddenly breaks, but like, you know, like throwing out your shoulder or like just or an ankle sprain, or like I was going too fast and I like, you know, strained, especially for my fellow folks who are hypermobile and who so easily like bruise and pull things and our bodies do weird shit. Take it easy.
Yeah, we don't want any sprains or strains. I pulled the Page of Cups, which is kind of an interesting card to pull for health, but it honestly just made me think about rest is play, play is rest. And play is good for your health and rest is good for your health. And you're allowed to play and you're allowed to rest. And those are good, glorious, sacred, necessary things. I'm going to plug this. We talked about rest just recently. If you haven't listened to our conversation that we had, I guess when this comes out, it'll have been a couple of weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't know what time is. I don't know how time works. I don't know how anything works. But if you haven't listened to that already, maybe December 8th is the day that you listen to it. I think the Page of Cups feels like this very open-hearted energy, this very collaborative energy, which again, like Bee was saying, collaboration around health. But I think also, like Jeanna was saying, collaboration around play and collaboration around rest. There is something so artistic and awestruck about the Page of Cups. This feels like, this always just makes me think about like a little kid splashing in the bath, or like someone walking out and just like staring at the stars and making up their own stories about the constellations. Just this real sense of like connection to the world around us, and just this really pure beautiful, wondrous delight in what they are seeing and feeling and experiencing. So play is good for you. Play as much as you can this month. Don't try not to judge yourself for play. I know it's so easy to judge ourselves for play and rest. We talk about that a lot in our house because Jeanna and I both work every day and play and rest can be really hard to access. So I'm saying this for our future selves as much as for you. Play is good for you, as is creative expression. And if you can do those things with other people, if you can, I don't know, start a D&D campaign or just like color with your friends or do a group watch of a favorite silly movie or maybe a fairy tale, do a potluck dinner, just something that lets you have fun and be silly and weird and your strangest, most perfect self with other people. It's going to be literally good for you this month is honestly what came through.
I love that.
Me too. Something that might be a nice idea to do at the beginning of December is to actually make the rest menu that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
smart.
Because then you have all these options that you have already decided on some level you enjoy doing, and that will bring you pleasure and ease. And then in the moments where you have wide open spaces in front of you, or if you're hitting a day that has a tough astrological aspect and you need help, then you have all these options right there in front of you. No decision fatigue. You just point and do that.
Yes, I love that. Something I might put on my rest menu for December is like nerdy, silly Christmas movies that I love. And I wanted to ask if you guys have favorite holiday movies or just like movies that you watch at this time of year.
My numero uno is Home Alone. I love Home Alone so much. The OG. I love The Holiday.
I do too.
Nancy Meyer movie.
Yeah.
If it's problematic, I don't care. Sorry. I love it. And one terrible, terrible, immaculate Christmas movie that everyone needs to see is called A New York Christmas Wedding.
Oh my God, I never actually watched that
Did
one.
we watch that?
I don't think we did. But I remember reading about it. I think on Autostraddle, someone did a review, probably Nick.
Maybe we should have a watch party of it
Maybe
because it is god awful and incredible. It's really immaculate. I do trigger warning for like religious trauma in which Chris Noth, who cares about him?
Who
He's
cares?
Mr. Big. Mr. Big plays a Catholic priest.
Oh my God.
No.
Yes, in a movie that includes time travel, lesbians. And the title is just A New York Christmas Wedding. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into when you watch this movie, but I'll sing it from the rooftops. So Home Alone, The Holiday, New York Christmas Wedding.
I love that. I think that's great. I think the only one I consistently try to watch, although I'm not always very good about it, is Nightmare Before Christmas because I'm a basic bitch. Although the last few years we have watched, and I think Jeanna should be the one to talk about it.
I know what you're going to say.
Of course you know what I'm going to say, but we've been, every year we watch this, again, horrible, wonderful, horrible, perfect.
Horrible. But
Christmas film. It's so white. It's so silly. It's so ridiculous. It's called A Castle for Christmas. And take it away, Jeanna.
It's my favorite Christmas movie in the whole world.
I figured this was why you asked this question, is so we could talk about A Castle for Christmas.
Aside from The Holiday, I do objectively love.
The Holiday is fun.
And I love, as
and
stated,
that awful one with Kristen Stewart where she absolutely gets together with the wrong person.
Terrible. Happiest season. No.
I don't like
She should be with Aubrey Plaza, and I spend the whole movie yelling about it.
No, we do not watch Happiest Season. I do not like Happiest Season. I watch fairy tale movies.
Yeah, we do usually watch Brandy Cinderella.
Brandy Cinderella is a must, and then also like Ever After, might do some Sleeping Beauty in there. But yeah, we watched The Holiday and A Castle for Christmas. Okay, it's a perfect Netflix Christmas movie. It stars Carrie Elwes, aka Wesley from The Princess Bride, and also Robin Hood from Robin Hood Men in Tights, with Brooke Shields, who is playing a successful author who loses her shit on the Drew Barrymore show in an asinine way for killing off the main character who's like based on her ex-husband or whatever. And so she has to leave her penthouse in New York because she's run out of the country. And her agent is calling her being like, where's the book? Which, as we know, is not something that actually happens. But she runs away to Scotland and like ends up buying this castle. And it's, you guys,
Unhinged.
it's the
Okay,
most.
you're burying the lead though on the Carrie Elways. He has a Scottish accent.
Yeah, is that he has a Scottish accent in this movie. He owns this castle and he like takes care, he's like a good landlord. It's also a fantasy of a good landlord like movie.
He cares about the whole town. Everybody in the town loves him.
He's like going bankrupt himself because he refuses to like charge people more rent. Like again, there's a lot of fantasy here. Anyway,
There's a knitters club.
there's a perfect dog and a perfect knitting club. And I love this movie with my whole heart. I'm not really selling it, but like we watch it we sure do watch it. Meg drinks
We
a bit of
usually
whiskey.
watch it several times because whoever we're with, inevitably we're like, you should watch this movie with us. So we end up watching it like 2 or 3 times a year.
I proselytize for a castle for Christmas. And
I
then
do
there's one of the gay guys who it's like friends to lovers. One of them goes home.
Single all the way.
Single
So
yeah,
cute.
Single all the way.
We also love Single all the way.
Again,
So cute.
ridiculous, but fun, you know?
Yes.
The cute friends to lovers. It has what's her name? Jennifer Coolidge, like
Yes.
doing a Christmas pageant, which is really all you want in the
It's
world.
really just Jennifer Coolidge being herself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, that's a great one. Maybe we'll rewatch that one this year.
I did not sell you on a castle for Christmas Eve.
Dave, I watched it last year for you.
I was gonna say we've already done this.
I forgot. This is also the problem is I forget who I've made watch it. So yeah.
No, we definitely watched it last year and enjoyed it for all that it is.
For all that it is. That's really all you can enjoy something for. So
Yeah. Again, the New York Christmas wedding, I get you.
that is at the top of our list now. I'm sorry, time travel. A time traveling Catholic priest.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about the bisexual lead that does some time traveling.
Cool. Okay.
There's a lot to take in. Just know that like when you think it can't get any more bizarre, it absolutely can and will.
I mean, that's good to have as a level set for expectations. Just like,
I know it's a little heavy, but you just have to make it through.
Chris Math is been at time traveling bisexual, and it's also a little heavy. This is a lot.
There's a lot. Anybody who watches it, please contact me. I would love to talk to you about it.
I feel like what we should do is have like Discord watch alongs.
Yes.
I mean, that's ideal.
I'm in.
That's like the dream. Yeah.
It'll be good for all of our health this month.
All of our health to watch
Yes.
silly Christmas movies and laugh about them as a collective.
Oh.
Okay, well, stay tuned for that. Yeah, whatever happens, we'll see you again in a couple of weeks, and then we will all venture into 2026 together.
Hold hands and jump into the abyss of 2026.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Or something.
Cool. Well, happy holidays, happy new year.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, get some rest.